Have you ever wondered why intelligent people still ruin their lives? Why talented leaders collapse at the very peak of their success? Why some individuals repeat the same mistakes over and over again, even when they know better? History is a graveyard of brilliant people who destroyed their own futures. Powerful rulers who conquered nations but could not conquer their own tempers. Successful entrepreneurs who built empires only to burn them down in a moment of greed. Gifted thinkers who understood the universe but failed to understand themselves. Despite their intelligence, something within them led them toward failure, a hidden gravity pulling them toward the earth. The ancient Greeks had a word for this pattern: Hamartia. The concept was discussed by the philosopher Aristotle in his famous work, Poetics. In the great Greek tragedies, Hamartia refers to the fatal flaw that leads to a hero's downfall. It is the missing of the mark. Like an archer who aims for the goal but shifts his hand by a fraction of a millimeter at the last second. It is not always evil. It is not always dramatic. Often, it is subtle. A weakness in judgment, a blind spot in character, something small, a hairline fracture in a marble column that slowly grows under the weight of life until it destroys everything. But Stoic philosophers saw something even deeper in this idea. Thinkers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius believed that every person carries these hidden weaknesses in their thinking. They called them prohairesis, the faculty of choice, gone wrong. Flaws that distort how we see the world. Flaws that quietly guide our decisions while we sleep. And unless those weaknesses are examined, they slowly shape our lives without us ever realizing it. Understanding Hamartia is not just about ancient philosophy. It is about preventing your own downfall. Because the tragedy that destroys most people does not happen suddenly. It happens slowly, one decision at a time. Lesson 1. The flaw you don't see. The most dangerous part of Hamartia is that people rarely recognize it as a flaw. In Greek tragedy, the hero usually believes they are acting wisely. They believe they are justified. They believe they are strong. In real life, the same thing happens. A person believes their confidence is strength, but slowly, it turns into arrogance. Another believes their ambition is noble, but over time, it becomes a toxic obsession. Someone values loyalty, but that loyalty turns into blindness toward the truth. The flaw hides inside what once appeared to be a virtue. Your greatest strength can also become your greatest weakness. Consider the great Roman general, Mark Antony. He was a man of immense bravery and tactical genius. His strength was his passion. It made men follow him into fire. But that same passion was his hamartia. It blinded him to reality, led him into the traps of his own desires, and eventually cost him an empire. We often double down on our flaws because they served us once. The aggression that helped you win a promotion might be the same aggression that destroys your marriage. The caution that kept you safe in childhood might be the cowardice that prevents you from ever truly living as an adult. We cling to the very thing that is killing us because we have mistaken it for our armor. Lesson 2. Ego is the most common flaw. Many Stoic thinkers believe the greatest hamartia is ego. Ego convinces people they are always correct. It whispers that criticism is an attack rather than an opportunity to improve. Ego prevents people from listening. It rejects advice. It seeks constant validation. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This idea sounds simple, but it is the hardest thing in the world to practice, because ego resists humility. It tells us we are already wise, already justified, already right. But humility is a shield. It allows us to question our beliefs and correct our course before we hit the rocks. Lesson 3. Most people misjudge what is important. Stoicism teaches that people suffer because they misunderstand what is valuable. They believe wealth will bring happiness. They believe status will bring respect. They believe revenge will bring satisfaction. But these pursuits are unstable. A person chases status, only to discover that recognition fades like a sunset. Another pursues wealth, but finds that the hunger only grows sharper with every dollar. The Stoics believe that external things are indifferents. They are fine to have, but dangerous to depend on. Hamartia is often simply a mistake about what truly matters. If you build your house on the sand of public opinion, do not be surprised when the tide takes it. Lesson 4. Life reveals your weaknesses. Your hamartia does not hide forever. Life exposes it through patterns. Perhaps you notice certain conflicts repeating themselves. The same arguments with different people, the same failures in different jobs, the same frustrations in different cities. The Stoics believe these repeating patterns are a mirror. They show us where we lack wisdom. If we pay attention, those patterns reveal the flaw. But most people ignore the signals. They blame bad luck. They blame their boss, their partner, or the universe. They refuse to ask the most difficult question: what if the common denominator in all my problems is me? Lesson 5. Self-reflection is the Stoic solution. Unlike Greek tragedies where the hero is doomed, Stoicism offers an exit. The Stoics practiced prososche, extreme mindfulness. Seneca described reviewing his actions every night. He would sit in the darkness and ask, "What did I do well today? Where did I allow emotion to control my judgment? What can I improve tomorrow?" This habit is powerful because it brings the hidden flaw into the light. A flaw in the dark can grow into a monster. A flaw in the light is just a problem to be solved. But awareness is only half the battle. Stoic discipline is the other half. Marcus Aurelius did not just write down his flaws. He treated his character like a piece of sculpture. He knew that you cannot change a lifetime of habits in a single day. You must chip away at the stone. When you feel the urge to speak out of ego, you stay silent. When you feel the urge to act out of anger, you wait. You create a gap between the impulse and the action. In that gap, hamartia dies. In that gap, freedom is born. Lesson 6. Self-mastery prevents tragedy. In ancient tragedies, the realization arrives too late. The hero sees the truth only after the city is burning, but you can see the truth now. When you study your emotions and question your motivations, your hamartia loses its power. Most destructive behavior is unconscious, but once you become aware, you gain the ability to choose. This is self-mastery, not the suppression of who you are, but the mastery of who you can become. Final reflection. Every person carries a hidden flaw. It is part of the human condition. The Greeks called it hamartia, but a flaw does not have to become a tragedy. Through reflection, humility, and discipline, you can transform that weakness into your greatest wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your flaw is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. Discovering it is the first step toward mastering your life, because the real tragedy is not having a flaw. The real tragedy is living an entire life without ever recognizing it.